The internet lit up recently with the news of Marcus Jordan's alleged arrest. Social media feeds buzzed with the story. The son of basketball legend Michael Jordan, caught in a drug bust. Details were sketchy, but the allegations were serious, painting a picture of a young man in trouble. Except, it wasn't true. As quickly as the rumor spread, it unraveled. No credible sources confirmed the arrest. No police reports surfaced. The story, it seemed, was completely fabricated. The case of Marcus Jordan's fictional arrest is a stark reminder of the power and the danger of information in the digital age. We live in a world where news, both true and false, can travel around the globe with a single click. A tweet, a Facebook post, a viral video, any of these can ignite a firestorm of information, regardless of its veracity. This constant flow of information can be overwhelming, making it increasingly difficult to separate fact from fiction. The ease with which we consume and share information online has created a breeding ground for misinformation. In the past, news was carefully curated and vetted by journalists and editors before it reached the public. Today, anyone with an internet connection can become a publisher, bypassing traditional gatekeepers and disseminating information, accurate or not, to a potentially vast audience. This democratization of information has its merits, but it also presents significant challenges. Without the filters of traditional media, it's up to individual users to determine the reliability of the information they encounter online. This brings us to a crucial question. Why do we so readily believe what we read online, even when it comes from questionable sources? Part of the answer lies in the way our brains are wired. We are naturally drawn to novelty and emotionally charged content. A shocking headline or a scandalous story is more likely to grab our attention and stick in our minds than a dry, factual report. Furthermore, social media algorithms are designed to show us content that aligns with our existing beliefs and interests, creating echo chambers where misinformation can flourish. The internet has, in many ways, become a giant echo chamber. We tend to gravitate towards information that confirms our existing biases, and social media algorithms amplify this tendency by feeding us a steady diet of content that aligns with our worldview. This creates a dangerous cycle where misinformation is not only easily spread but also readily accepted as truth. Within these echo chambers, misinformation spreads like wildfire. A single fabricated story shared by a trusted friend or family member can quickly gain traction, especially if it taps into existing fears or prejudices. The more we see a piece of information, the more likely we are to believe it, regardless of its accuracy. This is known as the illusory truth effect, and it plays a significant role in the proliferation of fake news. The problem is further compounded by the speed at which information travels online. In the time it takes to verify a single fact, a false story can be shared thousands of times, reaching a massive audience before the truth has a chance to catch up. This speed makes it incredibly difficult to combat misinformation effectively. By the time a correction or retraction is issued, the damage is often already done. The rise of fake news is not just a technological problem, it's a social one. We live in an increasingly polarized world where people are quick to accept information that confirms their biases and reject anything that challenges their worldview. This polarization makes us more susceptible to misinformation and less likely to engage in critical thinking about the information we encounter online. The consequences of misinformation extend far beyond the digital realm. False stories can have real-world impacts, influencing everything from elections to public health crises. In the 2016 US presidential election, for example, Russian-backed trolls spread disinformation on social media in an attempt to sow discord and influence the outcome of the vote. The spread of fake news about the COVID-19 pandemic has also had deadly consequences, leading some people to reject vaccines and other life-saving measures. But the cost of fake news is not just measured in votes or lives lost. It also erodes trust in institutions, fuels social divisions, and makes it harder to have productive conversations about important issues. When we can't agree on basic facts, it becomes impossible to find common ground or work together to solve complex problems. On a more individual level, the spread of misinformation can have devastating consequences for those who are targeted by false stories. The case of Marcus Jordan is a prime example. Even though the rumor of his arrest was quickly debunked, it undoubtedly caused him and his family a great deal of distress. False accusations can damage reputations, ruin careers, and lead to online harassment and abuse. The spread of misinformation is a complex problem with no easy solutions. However, There are steps we can all take to be more discerning consumers of information and help stop the spread of fake news. In the age of information overload, it's more important than ever to be critical consumers of the news. We can't simply accept everything we read online at face value. We need to develop strategies for evaluating the credibility of information and identifying potential signs of misinformation. One of the simplest yet most effective ways to spot fake news is to check the source. Is the information coming from a reputable news organization or a website you've never heard of? Look for websites with a track record of accuracy and accountability. Be wary of sites that use sensationalized headlines or emotional language to attract clicks. Another important step is to look for evidence. Does the story cite credible sources? Are there multiple sources corroborating the information? If a story makes extraordinary claims, look for extraordinary evidence to back them up. Don't just take someone's word for it. Do your own research. Finally, be wary of information that confirms your biases. It's natural to want to believe information that aligns with our worldview, but it's important to be open to different perspectives and to be willing to change our minds when presented with new evidence. Don't let confirmation bias cloud your judgment. The fight against misinformation is a collective effort. We all have a role to play in stopping the spread of fake news. By being critical thinkers, checking our sources, and being mindful of our own biases, we can help create a more informed and less polarized online world.